Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Ghoststriker X16. Now, obviously, this is the what we call the F16 uh, Fighting Falcon, but for G I Joe purposes, this is the X16, and in my view, it's probably the prototype version of it. This was first released in the United States in 1993. It included the pilot Ace, and the Ghost Striker was unfortunately discontinued in 1994. The Ghost Striker features a high light projections and sound effects. So we'll see in here. It's got a handle that kind of comes down, and then we get the extra light and sound effect actions here. Which for kids is going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. All right, so getting into this, we have a nice front view from yojo.com, and we can see our kind of flashlights or light projectors here, as well as we have what looks like two missiles that would be able to fire, and we have four other missiles off to the side here. And we have a nice back view of the whole bird as we keep going on. We have a lot of nice pictures of this here on yojo.com. Really kind of nice to see this as we kind of flip on through. Now, I do have some reading that I'd like to do, and this comes from one of my D20 books on military vehicles. And I'm just going to start it off. So, the whole process of why we got the F 16 does, like so many other aircraft of its era, come to us because of Vietnam. So, big fighters like the F4 Phantom II encouraged surprisingly effectiveness opposition from lighter, more agile Soviet MiGs, which at the time were really ruling the skies for us. Let's see. This experience led to a post war struggle by the U.S. Air Force between the lightweight fighter mafia, who wanted lots of small, agile aircraft of their own, and those who preferred the more capable superfighters, which emerged from the F 15 Eagle. The compromise was a high low mix of F 15s partnered with larger numbers of lightweight fighters optimized for daytime combat. The cost kept down by using only one engine and omitting a powerful radar and the BVR missiles. The lightweight fighter competition won by General Dynamics the YF 16, which was developed into the F 16 Fighting Falcon. Now, in the write up here, it does note that originally the 16 was really meant for daytime fighting only. It was not really meant for nighttime, bad weather, all that stuff. It was really meant for daytime fighting. It didn't have the extra radar and all that stuff, which we got later on in the X or the F16C and D models. The C being the single seat, the D being the trainer. And unfortunately, then it brought the cost of everything up quite a bit more, adding all the extra stuff that everyone's used to having today. But in the purpose of G.I. Joe as the experimental aircraft, this being now the X16 Ghost Striker, we could get in, we can get out, but it's still really meant more for just daytime uh, fighting and all that. So our Sky Striker really would have been better for inclement weather, nighttime fighting, and everything else. But at the time, then we would also have a less expensive model, being the Ghost Striker. All right. Getting through all the extra stuff, all the stickers and everything that we get to put on here, and seeing where everything should go. So we do have the heads up displays, dashboard readout, flashing wire mounted navigation lights, high tech Mach 10 propulsion turbo thruster. So I don't know if they were expecting this to go a little bit faster than what the actual F 16 is supposed to go. The nice thing is because I have that book here, I can actually have some actual information on the F-16, which is what I put into our stats here for our fighter today. All right, so unfortunately, easily broken and or lost pieces. The 6 orange missiles and 2 green missile launchers are unfortunately easily lost. The Ghost Striker has been in cartoons, commercials, trading cards, and we have a watch as well as for one of the commercials here, and a hanger. And there's no other known variations of this model to exist. The nice thing is all the way down here, we get to see that the original retail for this was $34.99, just under that $35 mark. And again, as we start seeing,
here's a first alert weather
update, the price of a lot of these starting to go up over time. It's not saying it's a bad thing. It's just one of those things that just kind of happens as the price of everything starts going up higher and higher. So, with that being said, let's get on over to our D6 stats and see what we've got. All right, so looking at the Ghost Striker, this is going to be at Walker scale. Not wanting to put it quite at Starfighter scale, just kind of keeping it right about here. Although I think I do have to boost up the maneuverability a little bit more than what I had. Kind of reading through some of this stuff, and as always, I mean, I've kind of said it before. There are times where I'll do stats for something, and then later on I'll look at it and say, no, I think that might need to be changed a little bit. So, looking at what we have here. So, again, it's at Walker scale. The actual length of the F-16 is actually 49.25 feet, or roughly 15.03 meters. Of course, we have a crew of 1, no passengers. I kept the cargo capacity of 45 kilograms. We do have our full coverage. The actual altitude range of the F-16 is 62,000 feet. I just changed our maneuverability to a 3D plus 2, seeing it's supposed to be fairly agile. Okay. It has a speed of 1,330 miles per hour, or 2,140 kilometers an hour. The body strength is at a 2D. Not wanting to put it too high, I figured a 2D is a pretty good compromise here. So when I grabbed this, I grabbed from the Desert Apache. So a lot of the weapons are kind of coming from that same thread here. Okay, so we do still have the same blaster cannon on here. It's going to be at speeder scale, and it's going to be at a 7D. If I was to put this up to Walker, then it'd just be a 5D, but this does make it easier if we're trying to do strafing runs. Not saying that we're really going to be doing a lot of that, because this is an air superiority fighter, not really a ground assault fighter, but I could just kind of left that in there in case anyone wanted to in the role-playing game. Now, we have 4 heavier missiles, which would be more of our air-to-air missiles. So at Starfighter scale, fire control is 4D, and our damage is going to be at 7D. And then we also have our 8, say, air-to-tank missiles, or so on and so forth, which are at Walker scale. Fire control is at 4D, and damage again is going to be at 7D at Walker scale. Now, the other thing that I added on here is our bombs, because it has been noted to be carrying bombs from time to time, and it does make a fairly good bomber. So we do have 2 bombs on here. Again, they're at Walker scale. I knocked the fire control down to 2D. I got rid of the range, mainly because they're just free falling from wherever. And the damage is going to be up to 11D. I figured that something just a huge explosive. Usually we're using smart bombs. So if you wanted to raise that up for a certain smart bomb or whatever, you probably could. I'm just kind of looking at it as trying to take a general mix of everything and throwing it on here. But it is interesting to see that yes, we can get these stats and we can have this for our X16 Ghost Striker. Uh, Nice to finally start getting some actual regular military equipment that we're more used to. Now, the things that has always surprised me is the bridge layer is an actual thing. You know, I think I mentioned this way back when we had covered it. Those are things that I always thought was just a cartoon thing until I saw one in person. And of course, I had to be over in Egypt by the time I actually saw our own United States um, bridge layer. So, which looked exactly like what we have in GI Joe, just a slightly different size. So, but to finally get to the F16 or the X16 here for the Ghost Striker is kind of fun and exciting. And as we keep moving on, we will start noticing more and more actual military vehicles that we're used to today showing up in GI Joe. So, with that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.